What many don't realise is that the NRMA story almost never began. A well-known racing car driver, Boyd Edkins, and some of his friends got together to vent their frustration at the lack of action by government to fix the state's roads. Individually, they couldn't get the government to listen, so at that meeting they decided to band together and take a united approach. If the government of the time had listened to their concerns, there's every chance that the NRMA wouldn't exist today. But they did not. The National Roads Association, NRA as it was known, was formed in 1920 with its sole purpose to act as a lobby group for better roads. At the time, every member received a free subscription to the Good Roads Journal. Australia's first Labor Prime Minister, John Watson, went on to become the first president of the NRMA. Obviously, federal politics wasn't tough enough for him. He remained in the role for 21 years. 3 years later, in 1923, the then NRA became the NRMA, and the work of being a voice for motorists began. Member numbers multiplied dramatically as a result. The following year, in 1924, NRMA's legendary road service began. With 3 guides and a couple of motorbikes, our beloved service was born. It didn't take long for motorists to see the benefit of becoming part of the NRMA. Membership grew to more than 100,000. 89 years later, that little 2-sided newsletter, Good Roads, would become the most read magazine in New South Wales, commonly known as The Open Road. In 1925, an added incentive to join the association was provided by the establishment of NRMA Insurance Limited, which offered insurance policies to members only. In 1927, Good Roads was named The Open Road, with colour on the cover and improved layout. In 1929, Road Patrol expanded to 50 guides who worked throughout the state. When the Harbour Bridge opened in 1932, our patrol motorcycles led the procession of cars to celebrate its opening. In 1933, road service becomes available 24 hours a day. A record 30,000 calls are received for roadside help. No sooner had the NRMA survived the Great Depression than many of our patrols were called to defend the Commonwealth in the Second World War. To help fill the shortfall in manpower, the NRMA began training women as mechanics and guides to help people from out of town find their way around the city. The war also saw the development of the NRMA Transport Auxiliary, 500 dedicated private vehicle owners with 5-seat sedans who would provide rapid troop deployment at home. The NRMA did its part in the war effort by distributing petrol coupons to its members to assist in the rationing of fuel. NRMA and its fellow car clubs also provided road reports to the armed forces to help plan the defence from possible Japanese attack. The war years were hard on those serving overseas and at home. The rationing of petrol and rubber made motoring at home almost non-existent. The large military convoys that arrived with the US Army sent to defend Australia shredded up whatever semblance of highways existed in the country at the time. However, by 1945, the NRMA welcomed back its serving men and women and braced for a new era in motoring, the boom years. By the early 1950s, 250,000 members had joined the NRMA. There was one thing for sure, it didn't matter if you were a Ford or Holden man, everyone joined the NRMA. Throughout the 1950s, 60s and 70s, Australia saw a massive growth in the number of private automobiles on the road. In 1952, every patrol van is fitted with a 2-way radio. In 1959, 50 school crossings were equipped with traffic lights as a result of an NRMA campaign. After 8 years of campaigning, NRMA finally sees speed zones introduced on state highways. 1963 saw the introduction of Holden panel vans issued to patrol staff. By the 1970s, membership had reached 1 million members. In 1974, new Road Patrol headquarters opens in the Sydney suburb of Villawood. By the late 1980s, membership had grown to 2 million members. Today, there is an NRMA member living in more than 7 out of 10 New South Wales and ACT homes. In the years that followed, the NRMA would branch out into new areas of member service, providing maps and guides, travel advice, and an independent rating of hotels and accommodation, which still exists today. However, it was standing up for motorists, for which the NRMA brand was becoming most renowned. The NRMA has always worked with governments and the opposition to deliver better results for motorists. In 1982, something needed to be done to address the number of deaths caused by drink driving. The NRMA worked with the New South Wales government to introduce random breath testing. It wasn't a popular policy at the time, but we knew it needed to be done. To support the new laws, the NRMA also ran an award-winning advertising campaign consisting of a glass car filling up after 3 middies of beer were poured into it. 1986, NRMA wins the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile Award for Road Safety. The first road safety campaigns in New South Wales were launched by the NRMA. The first street signs in the state appeared because of intense lobbying done by the NRMA. Every push for more road funding was driven by the NRMA. The NRMA and our sister clubs fought hard to have the fuel excise capped 9 years ago, saving motorists about 10 cents per litre on petrol today. In 1995, NRMA launches the Clean Air 2000 campaign, in an attempt to clean up Sydney for a Green Olympics. Throughout the late 1980s and 90s, there was much debate about the future direction the NRMA should take. 2000 and the tide turns. Members were asked to vote on the decision to split the insurance and roadside assistance arms of the business. The demutualisation motion was passed, and NRMA Motoring and Services had to learn how to stand on their own, and fast. Over our 90-year history, the NRMA has never lost sight of the community in which we do business. We are very much a part of the community we serve. All staff across the NRMA Motoring and Services Group should be very proud of what we've achieved as an organisation and the work that we have undertaken in the community. When you do something for 90 years, you become very good at it.